Hey, what is going on, everybody? You already know it's Monday night. It's 8:30. It's only one time on the map here. It's inside the Octagon. My name is Paul Spencer. Of course, I'm always with my counterpart here, my main man. What's going on?
How we doing, my brother?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Hope the weekend certified you in a great way. Being blessed, number one. But what are we talking about tonight, Josh?
Man, you already know what it is, man. We gotta talk about UFC 303, man. It was an interesting card and something we gotta break down.
Definitely, man. What could have been, should have been. But you know what? Hey, listen to us and talk about it. Let us know your comments because I think there were some good points and bad points. I was kind of intrigued by this week, Josh. So are you ready to get this show started, Josh?
I'm always ready, man.
Hey, guys out there, getting ready. 1 minute, we'll be back to get the show started. Josh, let's go. It's UFC Inside the Octagon time. It's UFC's recap. My name is Paul. That is Josh. Josh, where do we start, man? First, I want to ask you, Josh. Last week, we had this show, and we talked about what could have been, should have been. We're going to get to every match, but Josh, how do you feel about this after we've seen what happened, Josh?
I will say that props to the UFC for doing what they could do or what they tried to do. Respects. At the end of the day, we've talked about this. This has been a very tough year, in my opinion, as far as the UFC go. Dana would never say that because numbers are always going to look good because, I mean, they're a cash cow. That's what they do. UFC 300 was probably the greatest event they've ever done, and we all praise it. But you take away that, the UFC has been awful this year. And here's the thing. We're in July now. So It's not like it's the first 3 months, and it's like, oh, it's been bad. No, it's been bad for 7 months. All right, you had 1 month of a solid pay-per-view. Every other pay-per-view's kind of been lackluster. I think this past weekend, it fit that mold. We had some great spots. Not saying it was a complete bummer, but overall, it wasn't a great card.
Yeah, going into it, Josh, I mean, the hype pop, the Ticketmaster was there. Connor versus Chandler, of course, we talked about that. It didn't happen. But, I mean, just like you said, kudos to the UFC. They brought in people to fight. We'll talk about it. Dan IG, man, oh my God, let's talk about that after, when we get to the main card. I tell you what, on 3 hours notice, Josh, I can't even get up in the morning. If you wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and say we got to get 6, I need a couple more hours, Josh. My man jumped in the ring in 3 hours, Josh.
What a circus. What a absolute circus. And, you want to be mad at Ortega, but then you also got to remember that, this stuff was cut last minute. And then also the fact that, he had to bump up and then, he was not feeling well. And there's just so many things. So it's like you want to be mad at Ortega, but at the same time, it's like, he did accept the fight last minute, this, that, and the third. And all this bad stuff is happening. So, I mean, it sucks. It sucks. We'd hate to see it, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. But to Danny Gay, man, shout out, brother.
Wow.
This man was getting a massage. And then,
Josh, what is it like you're sitting here, Josh, I say, Josh, I want to do a pop-up show in 3 hours. I call you and say, Josh, what are you doing? I'm sitting on my couch. Josh, get ready. We got to do a show in 3 hours. That's what, we're talking about doing a show, but this guy put on a show, Josh. He put on a show. 3 hours.
And I know they paid him handsomely because I'm telling you right now, ain't no way and it's one thing because to put in perspective what you just said, it's one thing to take a fight last minute. There's plenty of people who would do that. Realistic. There's a lot of guys who say, I'll go ahead. Yeah, I'll get a fight. Call me right now. Donald Cerrone. We know plenty of people who do it.
Sure.
But to do it to a killer like Diego Lopez is crazy. Who's on such a we've already talked about this. We said the last 3 fights, his fights have totaled in 4 minutes. This man has been annihilating folks, and he's not like he's been fighting scrubs. So Sadiq Yusuf, PG County brother, took him out in under a minute, and that is just, you want to take that fight? No, you have the chances of you winning that fight is literally like Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson level. You
Mm,
winning that fight in a 3 hours notice. So the fact that he did that, props to him. I'm glad they paid him, because there's no way you got to pay me like legit retirement money for me to take a fight
yeah.
in 3 hours before it even happens.
Exactly, 100%. I know he got bank. He got that little Brinks truck coming to his crib. I know that for sure
Oh
because,
yeah.
man, I mean, 3 hours notice. And the crazy thing, we'll talk about that, but that fight went from 145 to 155 to 165 in a matter of 4 days, Josh. That was insane. The cut from Diego too. We'll talk about that as well. But Josh, what I want to talk to you about, a retirement, Josh, a retirement. Gillian Robinson versus Michelle Watterson here. Josh, this match was just one-sided, honestly. Watterson, I'm glad she retired, Josh. That's nice work. I love watching her fight, basically the way she is, or the way she looks. I'm not going to front,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, let's be honest
Yeah.
here.
Let's be honest here. We keep it real. Let's keep it real. Yeah. But, Josh, what did you think about it? It had to be time for her to retire, Josh, after seeing what she couldn't do, put it that way.
Yeah, man. Like, I just want to pay respects to Michelle Watterson. I mean, at the end of the day, had a
Yeah.
great career, and we have to put in perspective. Michelle never fought in her actual weight class. Like, we
Very
also
true.
have to remember 115 is not her actual weight class. She
Mm-hmm.
is a 105 pounder. She is small.
Yeah.
That's the reason why she loses a lot of her fights. She gets bullied. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she's not big enough to fight a lot of these people. So, and it kind of goes into her style and why she, keeps her distance. Granted, it's part of her karate style, and as a lot of karate people do.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why she doesn't engage much anyways, is because she gives up so much. She's tiny.
That's true.
And so respects to her and them not having an atom weight division, and her still being able to be competitive and have some top 10 wins on her resume as well. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, shout out to her in a great career. This was not a good fight. I expected this to happen because not Michelle, but Robertson is just bigger, stronger, and she's a
Yeah.
grappler. So it was going to be a tough fight for Michelle. And
Yeah,
she's
it was
getting
a bully
older.
fight. Yeah, it was like a bully fight, Josh. Just like you said with the size there. Watterson. A lot of people look at her career, Josh. You mentioned a great thing there. The weight class, basically fighting out of her class, basically 50% of the time. 18 and 13 was her career, but a lot of people look at that saying, "Wow, she wasn't that great." But just like you said, we see what the fight does, what it stands for, and what division you go to. She fought out of class many and numerous times, Josh. She really did.
Actually, her entire UFC career was out of her weight class. Every fight
Yeah.
in her UFC career, she was fighting bigger girls.
Mm-hmm.
And just look at it like this for people who want to be a little slow about it. Let's put in perspective. The WEC was what? A weight class for smaller guys. Imagine being Jose Aldo having to fight at 155 his entire career. He
Yeah.
wasn't a 55 pounder. He was a 145 pounder. But he wanted to be in the UFC so bad, he wanted to be a lightweight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard. It's tough. So she took on a tougher challenge, and she still had a solid career. She's
She
not a
did.
Hall of Famer. She's not a world champion. It's not like you can't tell the script of UFC history without bringing her up. But yet and still, she had a very admirable and solid career.
Great. I agree with you there 100% because I did put on Twitter, after, congratulations to Watterson's career, Gomez, a hell of a career fighting out your division. Just like you said, pretty much like 99% of the time, her record doesn't speak for what she did volumes in the UFC, from that women's standpoint. But I did put on there, and Josh, I agree with what you said. She's not a Hall of Famer. I put it on Twitter, and we had 134 votes, Josh. 101 of them says, yes, she's not a first round Hall of Famer, but she is a Hall of Fame ballot caliber fighter. Do you agree? I don't.
I'm honestly the worst person you could ever ask about Hall of Fame. I'm not even gonna lie to you, because I do the same thing for football.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that Hall of Fame should stand for something. It should mean something. Hall
Rings
of
too.
Fame, yeah, it should mean you are the greatest
Yes.
ever. Like you have to be amongst the greatest ever. You can't if you're not that. If I have to think about it, this is my quick rule. If it comes to Hall of Fame, and I don't care if you have less bouts because of it, but the NFL, everybody wants to make money, so you have to keep bringing people in. So I get it. You have to have a certain amount.
Yes.
But my opinion is, if I have to think about it and have to question if you're a Hall of Famer, you're not a Hall of Famer. I think that's the easiest way to go. I just I don't know. You're not a Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer is the greatest of all time. Do you have to do that to John Jones? No. Do you have to do that to Anderson Silva? No. And those some people say they're the greatest ever. You shouldn't be for just them. Okay. Dominic Cruz, is he one of the greatest ever? Yes, he's one of the greatest bantamweights ever. But is he like all time pound for pound one of the greatest ever? No, he's probably closer to 20 or 15, 20 than he is to top 10. Is he still a Hall of Famer? Of course. Uriah Faber, of course. Like
Great.
there's certain people you know are Hall of Famers. Michelle Watterson, I don't even like blink twice. I'll sit here and say Michelle, no, no,
I
no.
agree, Josh. I agree 100%. I was on there. I just put it on there just to, get some content. And everybody was like, yes, she's a first batch. She's a pioneer. I'm like, but you look at the record as a fan, you look at the record, okay, 18 and 13. I understand what she did versus what she had to fight against. But just like you said, Josh, to me, you got to put the GOATs in there first, man. You got to put the GOATs in first. You know what I mean?
And it's a
So,
great question that you asked that, because here's the thing: I don't think Donald Cerrone's a Hall of Famer, and
ooh,
I'm one of the few people who will say that, because most people say yes, he's the Hall of Famer. He has a lot of records. He fought for the title multiple times, this, that, and the third. But in my opinion, is he one of the most exciting fighters ever? Yes.
agree.
Is he one of the greatest finishers? Possibly. But my biggest thing has always been he's faltered against the elite. And it's not even like he barely lost. Normally, when he go against the elite fighters, he got whooped very badly almost every time. So that right there is automatically making me think like, I can't put you there. You failed when the lights got bright, except for Eddie Alvarez. You pretty much got whooped, and I'm sorry, no. So Michelle Watterson, get her out of here.
Well, great career. Thank you for participating in the UFC. We enjoyed watching you fight numerous, your fights out there. But see you later. Have fun with your daughter. And I don't know if you've seen that Twitter picture, Josh. The first person that acknowledged her when she came out of the ring was her daughter, and her first words were like, "Thank you, Mom." And what she said was, "I'm home. I'm coming home for you." And that's it. Good. That was great, to see that, Josh, because I know you're having a daughter pretty soon, and that's just a bonding that people don't see what these fighters go through. A camp, for 3 or 4 months here on the road, whatever. It's different. So congratulations,
And I think Michelle's going to have a solid career afterwards, because realistically, she has a great personality. Obviously, she's a beautiful girl. Like, I do think there's a big avenue for her afterwards, whether it's, being an analyst or being a content creator, whether it's through TikTok or through the UFC. But she has a lot of options, in my opinion. Karate Hottie is definitely going to be seen outside of her career, and might even be bigger outside of her career than in her career.
You know what? I follow her because there's a couple of reasons why I follow her, Josh. I ain't gonna lie. So she got my book there.
Hey, I get it. She is beautiful. Look,
she is definitely is. Josh, other fight I want to talk about this fight here: Ria Tuzura versus Hernandez. Josh, this fight to me, a lot of people didn't look at this. Josh, I don't know if you're a WWE fan, are you?
Oh yeah.
Shinsuke Nakamura was cornering Tuzura for this fight here. The King of Strong style, but. Josh, to me, this fight was probably the most technical fight I've seen. Back and forth, submission attempts, the ground game, the submission attempts versus the escapes, Josh. This match to me was like textbook. I was sitting there watching my buddy. He's like, this is boring. I was like, brother, imagine getting in a submission lock like that and getting out where I thought you tapped a couple times. But this fight here was so technical to me. How did you see this?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think you're talking to a grappler, so I love grappling. So I mean, granted, there's a fine line between like the versions of grappling I love and then the grappling I don't like. And we're going to talk about the grappling I don't like in a little bit, because there's a fight in the main card specifically that I will be talking about where the grappling I hate it. So
I wonder which one, Josh.
I wonder. It might have been the first fight, but who knows? But yeah, still, man, like I love fighters that goes for subs and that are aggressive on the ground, and that goes for transitions, that tries to go for mounts. Like that type of stuff does interest me, because at the end of the day, activity, it's active, and you never know what you're gonna get or how it's gonna. With submissions can happen in an instant. You can be calm, cool, collected. Next thing you know, armbar, your arm broke. Up, it's over. Up, leg sweep. Up, next thing you know, you're on top. Ground and pound. Like there's so many avenues to grappling. So I mean, a lot of people who don't like it is because it's a simple thing. They don't understand it. And if you don't understand it, you're not going to necessarily be keen to it, because you don't know what you're looking for. In grappling, you have to know what you're looking for. If not, it's just going to look like two men dry humping.
Josh, do you recall that move? I don't know what it's called. It's got to be some move that Tuzura has on his own, where he was on his back. He flipped Hernandez over, took control of the leg, and almost snapped that leg from like an arm bar to a leg lock. And Josh, Hernandez got out of that in probably about 15 seconds. That was just so, to me, like so technical. Like, how do you prepare for this stuff? You being a grappler, Josh, how do you prepare for this? Because, Josh, there was moves tonight that during this fight I don't even recall ever seeing in my life, honestly.
So, I mean, that's the thing, man. Like, you have to trust your camp and your team, to be able to do as much research as possible. I mean, it's just like going against Charles Oliveira. Like you just don't know, like if he's on his back or he's on top. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's so many avenues where he can submit you. I mean, who the hell prepares for a calf slicer? Like nobody. But at the end of the day, it's possible. Like it's the same thing with getting somebody doing a twister to you. How would you get that? Oh, somebody, it happens. So like realistically, you have to just do your homework on these guys and know if they're unorthodox or if they're just so active on bottom. And you got to trust your jiu-jitsu coach, and they got to put you in terrible situations. They got to put, and that honestly, Hernandez was able to survive, and the reason why is because his camp prepared him. They put him in crazy and terrible, tough situations, and he got out of them. That's the only way you're going to be able to get better as a grappler.
Yeah, I couldn't even believe it, Josh. Some of the moves that he was put in and how he escaped out of there, it was just like you said, it had to be the camp. I give this camp 100%, even though they got the loss. This camp put him in for something that you're probably never going to see in your UFC career, Josh, unless you fight him again. But taking away this fight here, Josh, is there anything you can see from Cesaro that needs to be? Josh, he has a great record. He's still an upcoming guy. Not on the map yet. But what do you see from this kid so far?
More experience. I mean, at the end of the day, just continue to slow roll. You know, your ground game is great, but you know, just don't be flat footed on your feet. You know, work on takedowns. Make sure there's different avenues to secure takedowns. Don't resort to just pulling guard, because that's one thing about a lot of jiu-jitsu practitioners that I can't stand is that their takedowns suck, so they just want to pull guard, and it's like that's not going to work against the elite. But yeah, like I think experience is the biggest avenue, man. Experience, and then continue to grow. Like don't just stick with what you're good at. Figure out what you're bad at and continue to work at it. And that's for any fighter.
Yeah, this could be dangerous. I mean, we've seen his ground game, Josh, just like you said with the pulls there. He's that way. You know, don't forget about what you did. That's fine. You're understandable there. But just like you said, work on your stand-up game, because if you can evolve to that stand-up game, you could be something special, because we know your ground game is obsolete and elite, basically. So, you know, kudos to them. But Josh, the other fight I want to talk about is, Josh, this fight, 19 seconds, Josh. I mean, if you went to the bathroom, you missed it. You went to the bathroom, you missed this fight. 19 seconds, Josh.
It really ain't even 19 seconds.
No, it wasn't. No, thank you. Thank you for saying that, Josh. I put on Twitter, I put on there, one guy was like, 19 seconds. And Josh, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was like, brother, it wasn't 19 seconds. He stood there, looked there, had a sandwich. Yes, he had some ketchup and mustard on a hot dog while he was eating it for the 19 seconds there. It did not last 19 seconds.
Yeah. Josh. Like it really was like 10 seconds, but hey,
yes.
At the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. I mean, these kind of fights are hard to evaluate, man, because here's one thing that we do know. Talbot is different. We do know that he is different. He has the potential to be a star. And we can't put too much stock, because he's fighting guys that aren't relatively good, but we can't ignore it because he's exciting. He has power. He is confident. Like there's just things that, like, you know, you just have star appeal. There's just, like, I like to say, you like there's a Destiny's Child, and then you have like a Drew Hill. Like there's a group. The star of the group might not even be the best singer.
Very true.
They just have that appeal, that confidence. Something about them sticks out. Cisco was not the best singer in this group, but he had the star appeal. And I mean, Beyonce's probably the best singer, so she defeats my purpose. But I'm gonna stick with Cisco. He's a great singer, but he's not the best singer in his group. But he had that star appeal, that confidence, and I sense that same exact thing in Talbot, where it's just he has that appeal that makes me say something about him. I like him. And then you see his fights, and you're like, I really like him. I like this. Let's see more. And that's 19 seconds. I want more. Like, I want to see him in more challenges now. Like, I don't want to see him fight the elite. I don't want to see him top 15. I want to see him tackle another challenge. Let's have him fight a wrestler. Let's see. And I don't want an elite wrestler. I want a guy that wrestles, a good wrestler. Let's see if he has room to grow. If he passes that, then it's like, all right, let's upgrade into a better stand-up guy. A guy who's powerful, that can at least give him the threat of power. Like that, like we got to slow roll him. I don't want to just speed him up, and then next thing you know, we found out he's a fraud. Like, let's get his name out there. Let's get to know him a little more.
Josh, I like how you said that. Slow roll this, because it reminds me of Guy Rojas, that little bitty guy, you know, in the lightweight division, within this light flyweight. He was progressed so fast, Josh. Like the 18-year-old was 17 years old, can't even, you know, afford anything or whatever it was, doesn't even have a car, and he's being fast tracked so fast. You know, he lost 2 fights there, but I hope this kid doesn't get progressed that far. I love how you said go against a grappler to see what he's made about, and then you know what? Then maybe be on the crack of 15 there. Then maybe you can get a another, not a main card, Josh. I'm not ready main card yet. Maybe a prelim, of course. Early pre, not even early prelims. Something like that there to get him in there. I love how this kid is, but yeah, Josh, I need more from this kid, man. 13 seconds, 12 seconds, whatever you want to call this fight. I need a little bit more. Need a little bit more.
9 fights. He's 25 years old still. And then we got to also put the fact that he's 5'10" and at 135 and he packs power. At the age of 25, we have to also have to factor in the fact that he's probably not going to stay at 135 for that much longer. He's 25 years old. He's a man, so I don't want to disrespect him, but yet and still, he ain't like got his man weight yet. And realistically, the next 3 to 4 years, he will, especially at the frame of 5'10", he will grow, and he probably will end up being a 55-pounder eventually. So I would definitely say like the slow roll. I know I said slow roll before, which he does need to, but it don't need to be an MVP slow roll where it's taking 3 years. Like we can find out within the next year if he's as good as we think he is, and if he is, hey, there's a lot of dogs at 135, and there's a lot of dogs that I would love to see. Speaking of Sean O'Malley, so let's also put in perspective. You got Corey saying, hey, there's a lot of guys.
It's stacked.
That will make this division really fun if Talbot is as good as we think. So I hope so. The UFC can need more dogs. So this is something that I honestly hope does happen.
Exactly. I agree with you 100% on that one there. I mean, he's the future is bright for this kid. And you said it correctly, Josh. He's 25, man. 25, you still really, in the UFC, you really haven't hit your spurt yet. This kid could get an inch or two on him. Weight-wise, you're going to have to move up most likely because you're not going to stay at 120. You're not going to stay in this division at 25 years old, being what you are. And as you get muscle mass, you're going to gain weight. You're going to lose it. But I think he's probably going to go up. Exactly. I probably think he's going to go up one division. But he's got a lot to work on before we get there, Josh.
Oh, yeah, he does. He does. But like I said, it's very exciting. He brought the crowd on his feet. It sucked it was only 19 seconds because the crowd ain't going to get too many great fights after that.
I know. I hear that. Well, speaking of a guy that's upcoming, we just talked about here, but let's talk about a guy, Josh, Cub Swanson. Josh, he has to be on his way out, right?
I mean, I would hope so.
Hey, look, I hate to be a jack ass about it, Josh, but what I seen, Josh, I mean, it's time that you follow Watterson and say it's time to go. Honestly,
hey, look, no, we can add one more, Andre Arlovski. Like let's ask more. like we have a whole party for all three of them. Like let's go, let's end it. But here's the thing: at least Cub Swanson is like legitimately competitive.
Yes,
and he did win on someone's scorecard. So so we do have to put somewhat perspective. And Andre Fila is not a bum. So at least shout out to him for being competitive and honestly, arguably winning the fight in some people's minds. So yeah, but yet and still, I'm with you. Be a family man. Be with your kids. Andre Arlovski, you clearly must hate your family because I don't know why you have not retired yet. Because brother, you fought since UFC 228, and we at 300. Retire, live your life, brother. You bro, like what's going on, brother? Like I don't know, Andre. I'm talking to you, please, brother.
Yeah, that we definitely got to clip this, Josh, and tag him and put it on all social media accounts because it is definitely it's time. The pasture is game. It's time to go, for him. But I agree with you. Swanson, he does take the fights he did. How did you see it, Josh? A split decision going to Fila here, but how did you see it, Josh? In your perspective,
I mean, it was a close fight. Thought it was very competitive. I thought Cub hurt him once, but at the end of the day, I thought Fila was able to keep his distance and be able to not pick him apart, but outpoint him. It wasn't an amazing fight. It wasn't a fight that I necessarily care about or will always remember, but I thought the right man won.
Agree, 100%. I agree with that 100%. What do you think Cub does now, Josh? I mean, being what we said, of course, that's our opinion, but what do you think he does? Does he just take another undercard fight in a couple, 5 to 6 months here? What do you think he does?
I still think he fights, man. I don't think he wants to end on a loss. And at the end of the day, man, like you have to think that Cub is sorry, excuse me. But yeah, you got to remember that Cub is a dog. He has that dog mentality. And I think until he feels like he genuinely doesn't have it no more, and I'm pretty sure in his heart he thinks he won the fight, Like he'll retire, but he's not getting washed by these guys. And
Sure.
he knows that he's not an elite fighter. He can't beat elite fighters anymore. But he knows he's still good enough to beat fighters in the UFC. I think once he starts to creep that doubt starts to creep in, then I think he'll retire. So he'll probably just fight again.
Agree, 100%, 100%. Let's go to the next fight here, Josh. Pfeiffer versus Perio. I mean, Josh, another not a fast super fight like we've seen there, with Talbot, but first round KO, Josh. This fight, wow. I mean, Josh, this dude is an animal. I mean, he's strong. He's strong.
And he needed this W. I mean, after his first loss in the UFC, losing to Jack Hermanson, who's I'm not a fan of, but after losing to him, getting a knockout in the first round, what is it? Let me look. What, first minute and a half of the fight?
Yeah, I think it was like,
That's what you need. I mean, that's what you need to do. Get your confidence back and, show people that you're not to be messed with. And I think that this still puts him in a great path going forward. So good, congrats to him. I mean, he made it interesting, but once again, just like a lot of these fights in this card, it sucks. It was so quick because it doesn't hold up to the other fights that were terrible for 15 minutes.
Agree. I mean, I still need to see him more. What he can be. I see his power, but Josh, has he ever gone 3 rounds in the last couple of fights? I don't think he has, though.
His last fight versus Jack Hermanson was
that's right. Decision. That's right. Yeah.
But let's say he's been a decision twice in his career. That was one of them. So I mean, but my biggest thing is more so like, because you do have to worry about that, because that's a great point. Like with fighters like that, you do have to think like, hey, can you last? Because I remember Shane Carwin. Shane Carwin was literally KOing everybody in the first round. Everybody he fought. He fought Brock. He almost KO'd him in the first round, but he weathered the storm. What happened? He was done. That second round, he was depleted. And people like that, you have to think about. But he's got enough experience that's went past the first round for me to say, it's not a big deal.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Let's go to the next one here. Wow, Venom Page versus Ian Gare here. What did you see from this one? I'll just start first. I was so high on Venom Page coming in this fight. I really was, Josh. I'm like, this dude is so lean. He's so tall. He has the reach here, the leg kicks. He has the package, especially coming off what he did this last fight. What happened, Josh?
I'm upset because I was almost right. I picked MVP to win, and MVP very well. Here, realistically, let's. I don't really care for excuses, but I just like to talk facts. Realistically, MVP lost this fight. Ian Gary did not win this fight. MVP lost this fight.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we all know what the score was going into the third. It was 1-1. Ian did a smart job because he realized what we were talking about last week, which was he's too slow. I mentioned this. I said that he's going to fight somebody who's longer than him. He's not used to this. More athletic, and realistically, just a better stand-up artist. And we saw what happened. He got picked apart on his feet. He didn't feel comfortable. He was gun shy. He did all this yapping, all this talking throughout the entire week. I'm going to do this. You fool. I'm going to do this. You did nothing on the feet. You were scared. Like, I've never seen Ian that timid on his feet. And MVP did what MVP does. He was styling on him. He was out here trying to do what he do. First round, then he took him down. And we know MVP's terrible on bottom. Like, he's just awful. Like, realistically, the fight should have been over in the first period. Like, you gave up your neck. He had the daggone rear naked choke and somehow didn't choke him out, which I just was like, all right, Ian, you're just like, are you a white belt? How, like, I'm not a black belt, but I guarantee you, if I had MVP's neck at that point, he would have been asleep. He'd have been having Z's. All right. I'm very confident enough to say that. And Ian couldn't get the job done. Second period, he couldn't get the takedown, and MVP was working him, rocking him, doing whatever he wanted on the feet. And Ian was realizing, I'm not that good on my feet. This guy's better. He's just better. And then the third period was awful. It was an awful period because from both guys. It's not just Ian's fault. It's both guys. At the end of the day, Ian was desperate, and he knew that he was not going to win this fight if he kept on the feet. I respect him for adjusting. He went for the takedown, and he missed. He didn't get it. He got stuffed. MVP did the most, I can't even say most dumbest because that's not even a real phrase. But he did the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Brother, you had 2 minutes left. All you really had to do was just pity pat him for 2 minutes. And worst case, what's the worst case that happened, Paul, if he does that for 2 minutes? they stand him up. You're still in the advantage. But
Exactly.
you are still doing it on the ref's terms, not your own terms. You purposely chose to give him 2.5 minutes to shoot, knowing
Yeah.
your takedown sucked, knowing you're a little tired, and you let him up. Gave up position to secure your win just to stand up. You weren't knocking him out. You had plenty of chances. It was struggling to get there. I understand you want to make a statement, but brother, win the fight.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, because I know I'm rapping, but look, the last thing that pisses me off about that fight was in the third period when Ian went for the takedown and he kind of got it, then he ended up taking his back. He had a half a hook in. I don't know if you saw it. He had a half a hook in. MVP stood up, which was honestly a good decision at the in the position that he was in because he had half a hook. MVP then did the thing that I feel like first day jiu-jitsu practitioners know. And I'm not a jiu-jitsu guy, but I know what you're supposed to do if a person is high on your leg. You shake. You shake them off you. Eventually, he will get off.
Yeah.
He didn't shake not a single time, and he let Ian hump him for 2 whole minutes, losing him the round. Like, brother, and like, where's your corner not telling you to shake? Like, why are they fight hands? Fight his leg off you. He has one hook. It's one thing if he has doubles. If he has doubles, you're kind of screwed. He had one hook in. Break it off. Like, brother, he has one tied up. Break it off and then shake. Like, it's basic stuff. So that really upset me about MVP. MVP lost this fight. Ian Gary, you didn't look good at all.
No, I agree with you 100%. What you said there, Josh, that word shake there, watching that fight, DC, Onik, Rogan, they were all saying all you have to do is shake. Like, I even heard DC say, wow, this is fundamental. Shake. Where's his corner? The corner needs to tell him to shake this whole thing because that's the way it releases this right there. And I was just like thinking, I'm like, wow. You know, my buddy was watching the fight. He was just like,
I didn't even know DC said that because I was watching it on mute. So because I was doing something else. So I didn't even hear that. So to hear them also yell the most elementary thing to do is just whatever.
I thought it was not DC on the show for a second. It was exact words, Josh, is exactly what DC said. You know, coming from a fighter there, what he said, it was just like, shake, shake. And he said it about 20 times within about 30 seconds, Josh. And I couldn't believe it. But, you know, I don't know, man. What do you think? What is wrong with Page, though? I mean, Josh, his reach, his size, his speed. I mean, are we giving more credit to Gary because, you know what, the only way I'm going to win if I get him on the mat here and get some grappling time in? But if Page would have stayed on his feet, Josh, and got those, strikes that you said, he would have won this fight, Josh. He really would have won this fight in decision.
This was his fight. Realistically, this was his fight. He messed this up. And I give Ian all the credit for adjusting. That's the credit I would give him. He knew it wasn't going well for him, so he adjusted. At least I know he's a smart fighter. So I can at least give him that. MVP is what MVP is. And that is his IQ is not the greatest when it comes to like fight IQ. But he's a genius on his feet. He's very good, very solid, very quick, very explosive. Tough guy to prepare for. But yet and still, like, grappling and takedown defense it's a blessed trait, I like to say. Like, yes, you can. Some people can really adjust that didn't grow up wrestling like I did, and that can develop a good takedown defense. Jose Aldo never wrestled a day in his life, but somehow has some of the greatest takedown defense out of any fighter who ever fought in the UFC. You got Max Holloway, didn't wrestle, but he inherently knows how to stuff takedowns. Like, there's certain guys who could pick up on it. MVP is not one of those guys. He's the exact opposite. He's a guy that just I know he trains it. I know there's no way he doesn't. I'm pretty sure he's trained for the past 10 years.
Agree.
But he is just terrible at it.
Agree. I mean, we were watching the fight. Me and a couple of buddies were watching the fight here, and the couple first timers watching the fight, and I was like, the only way MVP is going to win this fight is he keeps striking here. That's the only way he's going to win. He goes down to the mat, it's over. They're going to give the ground control, to Gary there. And then when he got down to the mat, I'm like, Gary's going to win this fight. He's taking him down to the mat. He's holding it. He's getting ground control. Fight's going to be over. It's going to go to decision here, and I think Gary's going to get it because, just like you said, Josh, Burns should have had some NyQuil in his system because he should have been out with that submission move, Josh. Seriously.
I don't know how he wasn't.
I don't know. What do you blame that on? What do you blame that on, honestly? Because he should have been lights out right there, Josh.
Bad technique. Like, it's
corner. Are we talking corner? Are we talking corner or camp here?
It's him. It's him. There's no way they don't teach you how to do rear naked chokes. Like, you have a multitude of different ways that you could do a rear naked choke. All right. You can have the vice grip. You can sit here. You can go under over.
Mhm.
Like there's multiple ways and you could just squeeze and they kind of end up choking themselves. There's multiple avenues to do rear naked chokes, but it's the lack of squeeze. That's the first thing. Like we've seen guys, and this to put in perspective how bad of a
Mhm.
job he did. We know black belts who can choke you and not even have your neck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we've seen that several times. Charles Oliveira is one of those guys, and there's plenty of other guys who could sit here who could choke you with. You can have your neck just like this. They could put
Mhm.
their rear neck in, and their squeeze is so tight that it still makes you tap out because either going to break your jaw or you still can't breathe. So
Yeah.
it's more so Ian's not a he's one of those guys I'll say that is not elite anywhere, but
Mhm.
he's decent everywhere.
Agree.
And I
Agree.
think those guys are still you have to worry about because at the end of the day, can exploit what you're bad at. And I think that is what Ian Gary in totality is.
Last before we go to the next, so what did this do for you as an MVP? In the rankings here, and what did it do for Gary? Because it didn't do a damn thing for me either side of this with this match. The outcome, it really
Funny
didn't.
thing is, neither stock is up. Neither stock
Agree.
is up, neither stock is down. I don't judge MVP any lower. I think that MVP can still beat the top 10 fighters that fits his style. Like
Mhm.
like if he goes against like Rogman, like he's gonna die. Like he's gonna get
Yeah.
away. Now, but if you put him in favorable matchups with some of the guys in the top 10 who aren't like necessarily great grapplers,
Mm.
he'll win. And he's still talented. Ian Gary, he's gonna have trouble at the top. You go against a Usman, Gilbert, you go against, I mean, maybe Kobe he can do well against. I don't
Okay.
know. I think Kobe might be his best bet going forward, but I think he's going against Usman. I think he gets whooped. You go
Mhm.
against Gilbert, he's gonna get whooped. Leon will kill him.
Yes.
But I even think Bilal beats him. So like, there's I don't know. Ian got some room to grow, and I think that he honestly needs to stay clear of a title shot. He needs to take some more fights and get better.
As you know, in the corner there, Josh, if you're in his ear here, are you taking the next grappling fight because you struggle with the grappling here, or are you just going to take another fight where it's a stand-up fight where you have better odds? What would you do in your camp telling MVP here for his next
Oh,
fight?
MVP
Yeah.
should definitely only fight stand up fight. UFC got to understand this man's 37 years old. You need to
Yes.
max him out right now.
Yeah.
And when I say max him out, that doesn't mean put him in the toughest fights. That means put him in the most exciting fights.
Agree.
So anybody who is down to throw hands, MVP needs to fight. So that is the Stephen Wonderboy Thompsons. That is the Jeff Neals. That
Mm.
is, I mean, like anybody who wants to throw hands. That's who MVP needs to fight, and that's what we want to see. I don't care to see him against nobody that's going to wrestle him.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I want that kind of fight where it's all stand up because to me, when I see MVP fight, Josh, if it's a lackluster fight where he's out of his element, just like you said, Josh, the IQ is not there, Josh. He goes to a different kind of fight here, not what he fights the best with his stand up game, his length, his reach. That's what he does. His kicks are exclusive. So I definitely want to see him in a fight where he's going to have the same fighting style, Josh, because just like you said, 37 years old in the UFC, Josh, that's he might be the next step out pretty soon if he fights the wrong guy.
Yeah, facts.
Definitely. Well, Josh, this fight.
Do it now before his skill set and his diminishes, and then
Yeah.
he's literally just Ben Askren. We don't want Ben Askren.
Oof. Oh no. Well, Josh, this fight here we really didn't talk about. Last week here, the Smith versus Dozy fight. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I want to go to this one first. This was the one, Josh. Chazon versus Silva. The only thing I want to say about this, Josh, do you agree with that eye gash being stopped? Because that was pretty damn deep.
Absolutely. I mean,
Agree.
I'm not about to sit here and tell a doctor. Who am I to sit here and tell a doctor, you don't know what you're talking about? They can still fight. It's only blood. That's what they said, by the way.
Exactly.
Man said it's only blood. Oh, I mean the very thing that I need to live, buddy. Like I don't think I can live without that thing called blood.
Yeah, Josh. I mean, I looked at that after the fight. Of course, I had to go back and watch, close up on it. And Josh, you could put your finger in that gap. That's how deep that was.
Yeah,
and I understand, you don't have, you're going to lose blood, but Josh, you lose that amount of blood in that kind of area because number one, Josh, it's right over your eye. You're bleeding in your eye. One bad punch, and you know what? That could be what was the word they used? A hematoma. I think worse than a hematoma, Josh. But
I'd rather have a hematoma. That's just swelling.
Yeah.
I don't want no amazing gas that's going to require stitches. Like a swelling can go down in a day. Stitches take weeks. So I'll take a hematoma any day over there. I've had stitches before. It's terrible. It's one of the worst things you can have. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, though, like to talk about that fight real quick. Once again, don't care about the fight. It wasn't
Me
relevant
either.
to my life.
Hmm.
But yet and still, nasty cut. And for a person who honestly I don't even think was really winning the fight, very great way to get a stoppage. And it's a very good win. So shout out to Macy about that. But yeah, that fight.
Yeah, I put on Twitter, I was like, to me, it was an up and down fight, kind of boring, of course, like quotation boring. And I said, maybe it was a blessing that the cut actually happened the way it happened, because this was a fight where, you know what, I watched a little bit of it, like first round, and I was like, okay, this is definitely a bathroom break. So I'm going to the bathroom, of course. So yeah, Josh, I agree with you
I
100%.
was playing Mortal Kombat.
Well, did you get a little, some, what they call fatality moves in there? Fatality.
I was trying to take down Shao Kahn.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I love Raiden, man. That's my boy.
That's what I was playing with.
He's nasty. I know every move of his. Oh, old school me, you know what I mean? But let's get into this here. Smith versus Doze. How did you feel about this, Josh? I mean, unanimous decision of Doze, Roman here, of course, but how did you see this fight? I mean, this was a fill-in fight, of course. We're supposed to get Roundtree and Hill, of course, but how did this... Thank you, Josh. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you. You said it. You said it.
Realistically, I wasn't even thinking about that. Like, it literally blew my mind. And then you brought it up, and I'm like, oh my Lord, why did you bring that up? Like, I feel so bad for that crowd. Like, no joke. Can you imagine the crowd? Like, that card was actually pretty good. Can you imagine paying that money and then you get this card? Like, I really feel bad. I would sue for a refund. But as far as the fight go, that fight sucked. All right.
Thank you.
That fight was terrible. And I sound like a broken record. I'm saying this about all the fights. And it's just a fact. The fights were terrible. Like, there was probably 3 or 2 handful good fights that were fighting. That was actually entertaining. This wasn't one of them. Anthony Smith looked terrible. And those didn't look good, better anyways. Like, either. Like, both the guys looked like they came into a 2-week last minute decision to make a fight. Both were tired in the third period. Anthony Smith got rocked by a 185 pounder and got worked in that second round. It was just not, it was, I don't know, man. And here's the thing too, it does nothing for me for either guy. Like, I don't think my stock for Anthony Smith didn't go down. It didn't go up for sure. Right. And Roman, I mean, maybe fight again at 205. I don't really know, but I don't really care at the same time. Like, it was just not, it wasn't a good fight. It was boring.
Are we taking away a little too much, Josh? Because, I mean, this was a fill-in fight, basically not a last-minute decision, which we'll talk about in the next fight. But, looking at the next fight, 3-hour notice and one hell of a fight versus this one here, you're fighting within like 4 or 5 days here. What are we taking away a little bit too much of that, Josh? Because it's a fill-in fight. You don't know your style. The thing is, you're a UFC fighter, Josh. You've got to be in shape no matter what. When the call comes, you got to be in shape. And just like you said,
in shape though.
Was that?
They not look. They supposed to be, but they ain't
exactly. That's what I mean. I mean, you're going to be in shape for a fight. The call could ring any time, and you're going to get that penny, that nice paycheck. But to me, it's like I'm thinking like, okay, they ran out of gas. Number one, this was the most boring fight to me on the card. I'm going to say it. Probably on the card to me, this was so boring to me. I was just like, you got to be kidding me. But Josh, I want to ask you something. You brought up something to me that I just probably had died laughing here when you said it. If this fight was UFC 303 and the card was what it was supposed to be, Josh, and you just got a hotel room, a flight package, the whole thing, Josh, what are you calling Dana White and saying this is some BS? I want some money back.
I'm crying because legit, I'm thinking about so I've been to I have a bucket list to go to. I've been to UFC fights before, but I have a bucket list to go to a major UFC fight, like a legit pay-per-view, like star, like a John Jones level kind of fight.
Yes.
But last year I crossed my boxing checklist. I was at the Charlo and Canelo fight last year in Vegas. It was for my birthday. Now, it just makes me think of that because once again, this is a Conor fight. So this is the same level. Actually, yes. Conor's a bigger star than Canelo is. So I can just imagine how I would have felt if I paid for my flight, my hotel, and a whole weekend planned for fight activities, time with my wife and festivities just for that fight to be canceled. And I'm letting you know right now, I legit would have imagine you replacing Canelo and then next thing I know, I get
scrub.
How you say who?
Some scrub.
I come on, disrespect Aspahel because he's a great fighter.
Right.
But let's say I took away him and then I replaced it with a Teofimo Lopez. Like Teofimo is a good fighter for sure. Like he's very, very good. But that's not Canelo, man. That's not what I'm paying for, bruh. And then you give me like these other cards of fights that just don't live up. I'm gonna be in there like, I just paid $1,000. I just paid $1,200 for this. Yes. And you telling me this is what I get? I'm booing just like the crowd did. They had every right to boo.
Yeah, I tell you, Josh, I was looking on TikTok. I was just, I just go on there for some just junk looking around. And somebody actually tagged Dana White and said it was my son's 18th birthday. As you said, bucket list. Conor McGregor, favorite fighter of this kid. I think the ticket was like $1,600 ticket. They were not nosebleed. They were like mid-level, for both the tickets there, airfare, hotel room, $4,000, $5,000 total. And he was so upset that he didn't even want to go to this fight, Josh. Like that to me is like, wow,
I genuinely,
I love how you said it.
I would say I do think that it should be a law. Like, I don't know how you can like be able to like mandate it, but I just think that we all know there are ticket risers. If you want to see Michael Jordan in his prime, those tickets are going to be 10 times higher. You want to see LeBron James, them tickets going to be higher. You want to see Patrick Mahomes, them tickets going to be higher. If I'm paying, and we know we're paying to see a certain person, and he does not show up, I'm not saying we need a complete refund because I think that's ridiculous.
Sure.
But I do think we deserve a discount. I don't think that we should pay the full amount, because if he wasn't headlining the card, guess what? Those ticket prices would not have been the same. And it's not fair to the average consumer, because people are paying big bucks to see Conor, and it's not Conor's fault. Everybody pulls out. It happens. That's not what I'm saying. Accidents happen, but that don't mean the consumers, the people paying for it, should be paying for it.
Agree. I mean, going back to like Kobe Bryant, how he said he played every game, 48 minutes, whatever he had to play, because that could be one game where a kid, their hard-earned money, the father, the mother gets to go to a game. That's why you always played. NBA load management. Last game of the season, that's when they really get cheaper. But being a Philly fan, you can see Joel Embiid play, but we know, load management, he's not playing. It's hard to. I really wish they would have had a rule in there. I'm not saying 50%. I'm saying something like, an upgrade to the next event that you choose to, like a voucher, an upgrade or something. You know what I mean?
Give them like 10% off or something.
Yes.
Just get like some type of revenue. Because I imagine paying to see Beyonce. I know I'm on this Beyonce kick, but imagine seeing Beyonce and then she don't show up because she's sick. Guess what? You're getting your money back. But guess what? The not the headliner, but the act before that, and the act before that is completely fine. They can perform. But guess what? We didn't pay for that. The ticket says Chandler McGregor. That is who I'm paying for. So I mean, I don't care if you could put Alex Behead in there. It's still a good fight, but that's not Conor McGregor. That comes with so much more. Like you're gonna get way more athletes come. You're gonna get way more celebrities coming, way more money coming in. There's so much stuff coming in. So like we got to remember, we are consumers. We're the people who are paying these guys. UFC is nothing without us. NFL is nothing without us. Basketball is nothing. No, you need fans. We're the people who are literally making these guys rich. So like I do think that in a way we deserve at least a little something back if we're spending so much money on something we want to do.
I agree. One of my friends actually, he pre-ordered a shirt that said Chandler UFC 303, Chandler versus McGregor. Got it in the mail, and it was canceled. I'm like, "What are you going to do with that?" He's like, "What do I do with it? You think it's going to be anything on eBay?" And I'm like, "You and the other 50,000 people that ordered a pre-order shirt, it's not going to be worth anything. You just lost your money." You know what I mean? Like, it's bad. I feel for the people that did it, but I guess it's the chance we all take, right? But they should have put on a better card, Josh, knowing that, I know it's hard, Josh, a week before the fight, calling in people, but like this fight here, Smith and Doze Roman, it was just bad. But Josh, let's talk about a different type fight here. 3-hour notice, Josh. My God, where do we start with this one, Josh?
I mean, there's a lot of levels to start. Like one, shout out to Diego Lopez for honestly playing with his weight. Like we have to respect what he did by accepting all these last minute changes. It's not easy, and it's also not healthy.
20 pounds, Josh. 20 pounds. 145 to 165.
155, 165 in like 36 hours.
Yeah.
That's not something. And then you want to fight a 15-round fight?
Yeah.
That's not easy. So Dan Ige deserves all the credit in the world, but also Diego Lopez deserves all the credit in the world for accepting all that, because I've cut weight before, and I am a jerk when I'm cutting weight, and I would have strong on them. I'm like, I'm not doing it. He's cutting the 155. If you can't
Yeah.
cut the 155, y'all gonna give me my money because I showed up and they didn't, and I'm calling it a day. So once again, respect to him because I wouldn't have done it.
I agree 100%. I love how you said that because I got into an argument, on Twitter. Of course, it's, everybody's opinion, but Josh, I was on the same side of the fence you here. Oh, EG was all EG. I'm like, no, you know what? It wasn't because you look at Lopes here, 145, 155, 165 in a matter of 36 hours as it was. To me, Josh, you know what? Trayshawn Wiggins is a boxer here in the welterweight division, the current NAWA champion. He was saying, Paul, I won't fight. If I have to lose 2 pounds in 3 days, it's hard for me. I'm a jerk when I have to lose weight. So going what he did, Josh, 20 pounds, Josh, and making it a catchweight fight, to me, Josh, I'm sorry to say this. If it was me, Dana, listen, I made the 145. I made the 155. Brother, you ain't getting me to fight somebody at 165. It's not going to happen. I'm here. Cash my check. Let me go. See you later. That's me. I'm sorry.
Realistically, it might have hurt him trying to gain all that weight. He probably should have just fought at
Yes.
whatever weight that he naturally was going to be at.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I felt like it probably messed his gas tank up. When your body, like the body is such a funny thing. Like you do any kind of alterations like that to your body, it's not going to react the same way. Like when we train with a certain kind of food regimen. When you deviate from that food regimen, what happens? Your performance might honestly get delayed. But now we're talking about putting on 10 pounds, then put on another 10 pounds. Like your body's not prepared for that. You're going to receive some kind of shock. And I know you're not allowed to get IVs for hydration. So it wasn't just water weight. He was actually eating as well. It's not going to say dangerous, but it's not smart to play with your body like that. And I mean, once again, I'm not surprised that he faded so hard, and especially if you factor in the way he was fighting in those first 2 rounds, specifically the first round.
Yeah.
And when you come out fast like that and you expect those knockouts and you haven't fought in 3 rounds in probably 2 to 3 years, all this was bound for him to fade like he did in the third period.
But I agree, Josh.
Dan, what?
No, I agree with you 100%. That weight is a struggle there. I mean, Josh, watching this fight, my buddy was like, wow, is he really fading? Why? And I was like, brother, it's 20-pound difference here. Your body has some significant changes. You go to a buffet and, vice versa. You go to a buffet and you gain 20 pounds, whatever. You have to lose that in 36 hours. It ain't going to happen. Or lose 10 in 3 hours or whatever, 3 days. It's not going to happen. Vice versa. Gaining weight too to, fulfill your weight requirement. But Josh, do you think it all had to do with that weight acknowledgement from 145, 155, 165? Because Josh, I said this on Twitter, and I don't know if you agree with me. If this was a 5-round fight, I'm giving it to Dan.
Here's the thing. I mean, it's easy to say that, but who's to say Dan doesn't crash in the 4th and 5th round? Like, I mean, it's easy to say that because he did fight so strong in the 3rd. But one thing about professional athletes, especially fighters, is that they do get second win. Like, I mean, who's to say Diego takes that round off and he was terrible, and then the 4th and 5th round he picks it back up? Like, it's possible, like that Dan could have won that, but it's the same thing for the Kamaru Usman and Chimaev fight. Yeah. If that was a 5-round fight, Kamaru Usman probably would have won that fight, or Chimaev would have still wrestled him. We don't know. We can't know because it didn't happen. But yet and still, like, I'm happy it wasn't a 5-round fight because poor Ige, that you really would have had to pay me Conor McGregor money for me to fight a 5-round fight in 3 hours notice. Hell no, I ain't doing that.
I want to see what he actually made for this. I know in the next fight, I did get the contract of what he got for the fight bonus. Pierre's got a $303,000 fight bonus for this fight, the way he did it. But I really am so curious to see what Dan got out of this money-wise, because I understand, coming in here, co-main event, putting on, just showing up and having a fight, Josh. But man, my man did some business, and I give credit to both these fighters. A lot of people don't see it like the way you said it, but I agree with you 100%. The way Diego came in this fight, his weight changes from 145, 155, 165. These dudes put it all on the line because not only one, you gave a show. Well, you gave a show, of course, but to me, you put your life on the line because, just like you said, Josh, the body is something weird when you lose a weight, you have a weight cut or a weight gain in that kind of time frame. So I give credit to both these guys. I really do.
Oh, yeah, likewise. I mean, shout out to both of them. It was a great fight, very fun. Diego is very exciting. Got some holes in his defense, and definitely cardio might be an issue. But yet, still, man, like he's an exciting guy, and I can't wait to see his next fight.
Now, when do you think these guys fight again? Because Dan was supposed to fight, I believe it was July 30th. He backed out of that to come to this fight here. That's why he was in shape. Where do you see him fighting, and what do you see for him first before we get to Lopes?
They all wanted to fight at the Sphere. Have you ever been? Have you seen the Sphere?
I haven't been out. I haven't been out. I go to Vegas like once a year. I haven't been out there in like a year and a half. I've never been to the Sphere yet.
So yeah, obviously, like I told you, I went for the Canelo fight, and it's like it's very random, but it looks like one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. I'm not gonna lie, it's so dope. Like it's ridiculous. Now, I haven't been
do they have on the up? Like I know it goes all the way around, and I seen the NHL draft or something was out there, and I seen how they had the telestrator all the way up top, like all the way up to the ceiling.
Yes.
During the fight, Josh, do they have the whole fight like up top all the way around like a 360 view as well?
Well, I didn't see the fight over there, so
Okay.
I don't know what it looks like over there. That's why, like, I really want to see this UFC Sphere fight because, like, I've seen some videos from inside the Sphere, and it looks like the most immersive, crazy thing I've ever seen in my life. And I if I was rich, I would 100% get tickets to it because I know it's going to be one of the most insane fights that you will ever see in your life because it's just so beautiful. Like I want to see a concert in there. I want to see fights in there. Like everything about the Sphere is just immaculate.
Yeah, I seen some people. Some of my friends actually went there for a concert. One last lady that I know, she went to seen U2 or something like that when they opened the Sphere a couple years ago.
First,
yeah, they opened it. They opened it actually. Yeah,
I think they were the first one. So that's when I was there.
Oh, okay. But she said the way they do the show, it's of course you have the concert stage, but the way they do the 3D background, it looks like the stage is floating, moving from all this. I was like, wow, that's insane.
It's trippy. Like I don't smoke or drink or anything like that.
Neither,
but I can imagine if you're like one of those people who like to like partake in like extracurricular activities, that it's probably like you're floating. You probably feel like you're probably going to heaven. Like it's that cool.
That is so funny. Like when I was watching it, but a couple years ago when they opened it, I was just looking at TikTok, and one guy he was like, "Dude, if you've never done acid, you don't need to. Just go to the Sphere. That's what it's like. You know, like
that's
what?
That's what it looks like. It's like I said, it's crazy. And for a band like U2, it's perfect because I've been to a show of theirs before, and they're very big into the immersive like view or an experience. So yeah, it's
definitely. Well, Josh, I know it won't be the last time at the Sphere. Hopefully, you know, that's why we're always on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch out there. We're trying to get UFC passes. Those are the hardest passes to get. So one day, Josh, we'll make it, try to get a bucket list for you and I to get out there and get a media pass out there. You know, so definitely, that's one of my bucket lists too. So that's why we're working on here. That's why we do what we do. But Josh, let's talk about it. Main event. It's not Conor. It's not Chandler. But Josh, it's Pierre versus Jiri here. How did this play out to you? Well, what did you see, Josh?
The fight played out exactly like how it played out the first time. It was the same. It was basically the same fight, except for the only difference this time was that Jiri never got off. At least Jiri landed the first fight, and you know he did kind of rock Alex Mejia. But this fight, it was the same exact fight except that, which means it was all Alex Mejia. He came in confident. He came in that he knew that Jiri had nothing for him. And I mean, the left hook was absolutely beautiful. Like a walk-off. Really, it was a KO, but a walk-off KO that a star is born. But everything about that, man, like it was a good fight. Leg kicks were very important for Alex. And at the end of the day, man, like you give this dude one shot.
Yeah.
And that's literally all he needs. Like it's the avenue of mistake is so small fighting Alex Mejia. It's frightening. If you're not going to wrestle this guy, good luck.
Josh, I've never seen a fighter get a nut kick right to the cup and then a wave off. Back up. I don't need time. I'm going to knock him out right away. I've never seen that in my life, Josh. When I was thinking like, did he really just kick him in the nuts? He did. Then I see Pierre. I thought he was going to stop the fight because give him time because he walked over and all I see was Pierre's hand go back up. I don't need time. Josh, are we seeing the GOAT? Are we seeing the GOAT?
Absolutely not.
Not yet. Okay.
Not even close. Close. My biggest thing about Alex Mejia, like I love Alex, but he is very beatable. He is beatable.
Okay.
And I don't want to say they tailor-made his opponents because they didn't. Like at the end of the day, 205 is a terrible division. We have to put in perspective. It hasn't been the same since the Rampage era. But yet and still, I don't want to disrespect Alex by saying like it's just because the division sucks. Alex is that good, but he's fighting favorable guys. Like we got to also look at who he's fighting. He's
Okay.
fighting guys who are stupid enough to stand with him.
Good
These
point.
guys are fighting a world champion, 2 division kickboxer.
Yeah.
We gotta put that. Not to mention, he's a big guy. He's 6 foot,
Yes.
long arms, long kicks, power in his left hand of straight dynamite. This is not a guy you want to stand with. We have yet to see him genuinely fight a wrestler. Like we have not seen him, and that the reason why I'm bringing up GOAT and all this stuff is because you have to go through those avenues. Anderson Silva had to go through Chael Sonnen. Like I can't even say John Jones because John Jones is a wrestler, but John Jones had to go against strikers. He had to go against Alexander Gustafsson. He had to get these challenges of guys who weren't in his actual skill set that challenged him, and he still came through. Alex Pereira doesn't have that because the division is just so weak, and it's full of guys who think they can stand with him for whatever reason.
That's a great point, Josh. Who in this division can do it? I mean, Shuri's knocked out of the top 2-1 position here. You have Magomed, Jemai Hill, and Blankazar. Who, Josh? Who?
Ankalaev is the only person I can think of right now that does wrestle and that can wrestle.
That's the only guy that I'm really thinking about. Yeah,
he's not consistent. He's not a guy that I personally have faith that he would wrestle all the time, or also stay consistent in his cardio to be able to take him down for however many rounds he needs to take him down to win the fight. I think that he will make a mistake. He'll probably take him down the first couple of rounds, but I feel like eventually he'll think Alex is tired, and Alex might even be tired, and he will ease on the gas a little bit, and he'll get caught with a left hook, and the fight will be over, and we'll say, and still UFC, and it's like you see lights in his eyes.
Definitely. Where does this go for Jiri now? I mean, where does this take him? Is he going to get in the back of the ladder now and just got to work his way back up? Because this division is not really arguably the best division. Just like you said, it's not. Where does he fall?
So he has as long as not Jiri, as long as Alex Pereira is the champion, he's not getting a title shot.
No.
There's
I don't want to see a trilogy. I don't want to see the trilogy. I'm sorry.
There's no need to, brother. No. You fight. You have 4 rounds. You got knocked out twice. Like we don't need to see it. And it's not, once again, it's dominant W's. It's one thing if it's competitive showdowns, brother. You got knocked out twice in the first 2 rounds in both fights. You didn't prove. So I'm okay. Like I think everybody's okay. So his title shot, as far as fighting Alex Pereira is pretty much done. His best thing is to stay active and hope somebody beats him, fight the winner of that, and then I'll be interested.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, if Magomed fights Pereira there, I think that's his, calling card to get back in there and take one of the contenders, because he's not going to beat Alex. I'm very sorry. He's not going to beat him from what we've seen here. He might have his best shot would be maybe a Magomed. I don't think it's going to work out that way either, but we'll see there. But Josh, where does this fight here?
Jiri, if needs to fight either, I don't know if Jamal Hill is out for a long period of time, but Jamal Hill is a fight that could happen that I would love to see. Roundtree is out for a year, so he's not going to be available. But I really want Roundtree. Roundtree is probably the one light heavyweight that I personally think can stand with Alex Pereira and actually have success. He's probably the only one.
Wow.
And I'm not saying he will win. I'm saying he will have success. He's too athletic. He's too powerful. He just need to land one shot, and he can land one shot. Alex Pereira is very hittable, and you give Khalil one shot, he will turn your lights out just like Alex will.
Well, Pierre did say after the fight, he was like, I'll take any fight, Shama, whatever he said, that word. And then after the fight, he said, I will fight within the next 3 to 4 months again. I want another card. I want a main event. Maybe it will happen, because what was the reason Hill that backed out? What was the reason behind that, Josh?
He got hurt. I want to say it was a knee injury.
Did they say how long he's going to be out? Did they say how long he's going to be out? No, okay.
I never said, but he's I don't think he's out for like a year or nothing, but he's out for a little bit.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because that first round, Josh, did you think it was over within the last 5 seconds of that round? Because, man, Jiri was dazed, man. He didn't know where he was. I mean, he staggered to the wrong corner, basically.
No, I figured they was going to give him every opportunity. Ever since Michael Bisping got KO'd completely and by Anderson Silva, and that fight literally should have been stopped, and they let him continue to fight. I have no faith in refs after that. I was like, all right, they'll let these dudes die and still fight. So I knew they would let Jiri give him every opportunity, especially on a title fight.
Mhm. But during that second round, Josh, it's going as fast as it did. We see a lot of fighters like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'm not gonna. I'm gonna give him a little bit of time to recover here. But Pierre just went to the what he does best. That leg kick, Josh, was just like going back to the Leon Edwards kick. The kick heard around the world. That was so fast, so unseen. As a fan, we know it's coming. We knew it was coming. But how it happened, Josh, was just so fast, so legit, and on the point. It was just like, my God, he's amazing, amazing.
Yeah, I felt like that was kind of like an oil check kind of situation. It was just like, all
Mm.
right, let's check to see if the lights on, and clearly they weren't, and they got turned off. So yeah, that's kind of how I felt that whole situation was playing out, as far as the head kick go. And
Mhm.
I think, is that the first head kick KO he's got this in the UFC? I think that might be his first
I
one.
think it might be actually. I think it might be.
But
Yeah.
it's perfect because what did I tell? What did I say last week that Jerry needed to do?
Mhm.
Keep his hands up. I
Yeah.
said that. I said he keeps his hands,
He-
and I said he wasn't going to do it because that's not his style. He kept
and,
his hands up for like the first 30 seconds, by the way.
and
He
that was
kept his
it.
hands up, and he never does it. So I was like, okay, he's changing it up. Then he went back to what he normally does,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
got kicked in
100%.
the head. And I mean, I won't fully blame him because I don't think he was 100% there. I think he was probably still done. But at the end of the day, you're fighting a great fighter, so bad stuff
Yeah. I
happens.
mean, just like you said, Josh. That they're on the last show. Keep your hands up. You got to because those leg kicks are insane. I mean, his leg kicks, below you, down lower level, is nasty too. The rib kicks, of course, the liver, but. You got. I mean, when you have Pierre, you're fighting him. You got to keep your hands up. At least check the kicks a little bit to avoid 100% contact on your face. 50% is a lot better than 100%. So, but he did do it to 30 seconds. First 30 seconds, and I don't know what clicked in his head. Like, okay, you know what? He kicked me, but he ain't that damn strong. Well, brother, you found out how strong his leg kick is when
He
you don't
kicked him
protect your
once
head.
to the body that was nasty. Like, oh my
Yes,
gosh.
they
And
showed they
then
showed the they showed the slow motion, Josh. His liver was just like it was like one of those 3D effects. It's like the
bad.
water. It was. I was like, oh, that hurt.
I mean, bro, like this, think of it, like he broke his foot on his face, like at the second
Yes.
round. Like
Oh, I couldn't believe that. Yeah.
it was a bad
That
day for
that
Jerry.
bone was sticking all the way. I'm like, my buddy was like, oh, he kicked him that hard. I'm like, I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send it to you on Messenger. Some lady was just like, how hard does he kick? And he was like, his coach was like, he'll kick you 1%. And the lady fell down from just like a 1% kick. Just imagine like how hard that was and how you break your foot and a bone in your foot in that fifth metatarsal from a kick like that. This dude's insane. But John, I want to ask you, can he be the first 3-time division champ all at once if he moves up?
That's the
In a
biggest
bad
question.
division, Josh, in a bad division, the
That's the
heavyweight.
biggest question. It depends on who he fights. He 100% can.
Mhm.
Like he has the frame to fight a
Right.
heavyweight. He weighed 230 the day of the fight. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically Usyk size. So I mean, he has the potential too. My thing is, it just depends on matchup. If he fights John Jones, he will lose in 2 minutes. If he
Okay.
fights Tom Aspinall, I don't know. I don't
Now,
know.
Aspinall has Blades coming up. Fights Blades coming up in next
Yeah, I
month.
know he's gonna beat Blades. I'm not worried
Mhm.
about that. But
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
But yes, regardless though, yeah, if he fights Blades, Blades is gonna beat the brakes off him.
Mm. So you think he should? Which I mean, go and stay in the light heavyweight. You've already run the gauntlet. Well, I don't want to say gauntlet. You've ran it through everybody there, basically, except for Hill. That we've talked about. But who in the division, or what would you want to do? Do you want to stamp your maybe possibly GOAT status in the years here? Do you want to stamp that now, being the only 3-class champion, or do you
Yes.
just want to continue and stay in the division where you run this division, Josh? You run this
No,
division.
he's not. It's one thing if he was like 28 years old, and I'm like, brother, just like race, getting your title. Alex is old.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he's old. Like, how old is Alex? Is Alex like in his late 30s? Like, Alex
He's
is
30,
not.
35, 36, I think it is, something
I
like
don't
that.
even know about 35. That's actually younger than I thought. Hold on, let me see. Let's fact check it. Oh, he's 36, and
36, okay.
he's turning. Well, he's about to be 37 this week. Actually, his birthday's this week. So you're talking about a 37-year-old. The time is right now. So
Great.
yes, brother, make history. Who cares about you beating Ankalaev or beating Roundtree? None of that really matters in the grand scheme of things. Now, if you really want to stamp yourself as an all-time great, be a three-division world champion. And realistically, we have to think, who's gonna ever do that again? I don't know if in our lifetime we'll see an MMA fighter, or at least in the UFC, be a 3-division world champion. That is absolutely insane.
The only person I ever thought about, Josh, in that 3 category was Andre Volkanovski. possibly. The way his body was. But I agree. Now's the time for the picking in the heavyweight. If you want to move up there, it's not what the heavyweight division could be, should be. Now the picking is right. If you think you can do it, now's the time because it's to me it's the worst division in UFC. So
No.
I think he has to. I think he has to.
Oh, 100%. In the UFC, at first Dana wanted to like scoff at it and then like, and
Mm-hmm.
I think now he's starting to understand that there's real interest. People actually care.
Yeah.
And then second, that like he actually matches up really well. Like
Exactly.
he actually matches really well versus these guys, and he is just incredible. Like he's incredible. So yes, I think now there's going to be a lot of interest.
All right, now we're going to play promoter real quick, Josh. If Pierre moves up to the heavyweight division here, Aspinall fights Blades coming up here. Where do you put Pierre in this ranking of heavyweight fighters? What are you going to give him his first fight? You're going to put him in. Where are you going to put him first of all in this ranking situation?
Alex Bahia?
Yes.
Oh, it don't even matter about rankings. He's light heavyweight champion. Who cares about the rankings? He needs to fight for the title. Like there's
Wow.
when you have not when you're champion and not only a champion but you're a defending champion, all that politics really brushes aside. You get what you want. You call the shots, and he saved the UFC so many times now. I think he saved the UFC like 2 times in a row now.
Yeah.
He can do what he should be able to have power to do what he want and be able to request whatever he want. Now Tom Aspinall can't get screwed, but at the same time, Alex Bahia can wait and say, "Hey, I'll fight the winner of Aspinall and if he fights Jones."
Wow. You think he waits that long though?
No,
that's a way to solidify being the GOAT. If you can beat John Jones, arguably the best ever, that is solidified. But I'll stamp it right here on the show, honestly.
See, the thing is, John Jones is washed now.
That's what I mean. Yes, the asterisk is there.
John Jones ever. Yeah. So beating John Jones, while it still be impressive, and I mean that's just literally altering your legacy. It's not the best version of John Jones, and I can never say that. Like, let's 205 prime Jones will kill Alex Bahia, like literally kill him. He would strangle this man any way he wanted.
I agree. Fighting a fighter in the prime is to solidify where you rank in. Of course, I see that. A lot of people look at the Mayweather thing, his 50-0, of course. But I want to see fighters, just like the Spence Crawford thing. I want to see fighters fight when they're legitimately top of the prime game here inside the ring or octagon. But if Aspinall beats Blades, do you think possibly Pierre puts his name in the hat there for that possible fight, saying I want it now? Do you think he does?
Yeah, I think the best case scenario, what might actually happen is whoever wins this fight, between Aspinall and Curtis Blades or whatever, I think that they're going to obviously have to wait for the Jones and Stipe fight. That fight hasn't been booked yet. We don't know when it's going to get booked. But it's more likely going to happen in November or December. But that's a pretty decent times away. I think what's possible and what can happen, depending on how quick the fight is, if anybody gets hurt or not, is that they rebook Aspinall. And I'm not rebook. I'm sorry. They book Aspinall, the winner of Aspinall Blades, and then put Alex Bahia at the co-main event of the Stipe Jones fight. And that could still be for the interim belt. So Alex Bahia could still fight for a belt. And also Aspinall still fighting for his belt. And then you have the real belt at the headliner of Stipe versus Jones. And then have the winners fight each other. Jones, I think, will retire. I think John Jones will retire if he beats Stipe and Aspinall wins. I think Jones retires. I think that if Alex Bahia wins, I think John Jones fights one more time and he'll fight him for a big mega fight.
But are we going to get to John Jones, though? I mean, we've talked about, past a little bit past his prime being out there. Are we going to get the best, and how does that put a stamp on?
We're not going to get the best. We're not going to get the best. But we're also not going to get the best Stipe. Stipe's 42 years old and hasn't fought in 4 years. Last time we seen him fight, he got whooped. He got his ACL torn, basically, by Francis Ngannou. So I have no faith in Francis. I have no faith in Stipe Miocic whatsoever. I think he should retire. And I can talk honestly 15 minutes about why I'm not happy about Stipe. Stipe has literally used his white privilege to the utmost to sit here and get all these title fights when he didn't deserve none of them. Like zero of them.
Agree. I think if Dana White's out there, he knows who the face of the UFC is. It's Alec Pieta right now. So I think he's going to give him what he wants because that heavyweight division with John Jones being out, the steep, situation here. Are we fighting? Are we not? Are we booking it? What are we doing here? It's not the heavyweight division of what we've seen, Josh, as we always speak about. I think he has to go to the heavyweight and put his stamp on that division there, because when you look at UFC, Josh, every headliner is Alex Pieta right now, all over the world right now. He is basically, to me, I don't want to say he's Conor McGregor level, Josh, but he's getting there right now from what he's doing to the UFC right now, the way he's progressing.
There'll never be another Conor McGregor.
No, we're great.
That or anything close. However, he's definitely getting there to be in the face. Him and Sean O'Malley, to me, are the two faces of the UFC right now. They're the people who everybody's tuning in to see. And at the end of the day, they deserve every accolade that they've been getting.
Agree, 100%. Well, Josh, listen, one thing I want to ask you real quick. We have a fight coming up next week, UFC Fight Night. Another back out. Macy Barber backs out. Rose fights in now against Tracy Cortez. Is this the flow of the UFC, Josh, where we get a fight card, and then all of a sudden it just, well, once again, fans, I'm sorry if you're a Macy Barber fan, sorry, you're out of luck again. We got new Tracy Cortez hopping on. It's a fight night, Josh. It's not, pay-per-view UFC privilege, but once again, Josh, are we seeing this more and more often now?
I mean, unfortunately, something's in the water. UFC got a really good ride of healthy fights, and they should be happy that 300 was as healthy as it was. But at the end of the day, this is the fight game. This is what happens. This isn't boxing where injuries don't happen as often or as bad. There's a lot of avenues to get hurt in MMA because it is MMA. But yet still, man, it is what it is. You got to pivot. And I think the Tracy Cortez versus Rose is still a good fight. It does more for Tracy than it does Rose, but it's still a fun fight. Yeah,
I mean, Rose 13-6. You got Tracy 11-1 here. It's everything against Rose. If she loses, she's done basically with this record here, losing to Cortez. Cortez has all to win, Josh. This is a lottery ticket for her if she catches it. Honestly,
100%. That's what I'm saying. It does more for Tracy, and it's crazy. 13-6 for Rose, and Rose is literally top 3 female fighters ever. That's interesting.
That is. I put that on Twitter. I was like, where does Rose? And they're like, oh, top 3 all time. I'm like, does the record 13-6, play into factor? Because when you look at 13-6, Josh, put away who you fought. You look at that number. Stats don't lie, Josh. 13-6. There's
don't. But I look at it like this. At her best.
Oh yeah.
At her best, nobody at 115 can beat her. No one. Not a single fighter at 115 that ever existed can beat her at her best. She's just not always at her best. Sometimes she doesn't fight well.
Do you think she would have beat Macy? Do you think she would have beat Macy?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Rose is still great. Rose is still a great fighter. I mean, she's my age. She's young. She's 32. And I think she's technically we're 31. So, I mean, she's still very young. She's still got a lot of fight in her. I think we've seen the best of her, but I still think her level right now is still good enough to be champion.
Gotcha. Well, Josh, hey, it's been a privilege doing the show with you. Of course, we'll be back on next Monday to talk about some news. Of course, we'll get into I guess we can talk about Fight Night coming up. The card's not really the greatest card at all, Josh. Of course, Fight Night, but we can talk about a little news out there. But before we get out of here, we got to mention one of our sponsors. 1-800-HURT-123, Attorney Jason Fine, Big Al, World Equal Access, Slip and Fall, Workman's Comp, Personal Injury Claims, 3 convenient locations throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Philadelphia, PA, Pittsburgh, PA. Mention Out of the Box Sports Entertainment for all your legal needs. Promise you, if we take the case, no recovery, no fee. The best lawyer, top 2 lawyer in the Philadelphia area this year. Also, 33 1/3% if you guaranteed rate if you take the case by one of our live operators. So once again, mention Out of the Box Sports Entertainment, and we will get you 33 1/3% guaranteed family rate of Out of the Box, no recovery, no fee. Josh, last thing real quick. Holiday weekend's coming. Well, not holiday weekend. 4th of July is coming up. What do you got festivity on the game plan for you and your family?
Absolutely nothing. I don't really do too much 4th of July stuff. I stay home or I work. So that's probably what I'm doing.
Gotcha. Same thing, Josh. At 53 years old, I really just do what I have to do at home. I'm one of the guys that, like you, Josh, I probably would jump on my Xbox and play some games too. Of course, that'll be my time. But what game do you play, Josh? Since you said you're a gamer.
I'm Team Sony. I don't cheat, so I'm on PS5.
Let me take that out real quick, Josh. Let me take that out.
So I play. Here's the thing. I play a lot of games. Okay, I play different ones. I play I just told you I was playing Mortal Kombat, but I play Mortal Kombat. I play Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's actually a pretty fun game that I've been playing for a few months with my boy. I'm about to play NCAA when it comes out in a couple weeks.
Is that crossplay?
Huh? NCAA?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, every game I
Okay.
mentioned is crossplay.
All right, we got to add each other on there, Josh. Because what team are you going to take?
So I mean, the thing is, I like to stay at home, man. I like to use UMD or I'm gonna use Tar Heels, but I gotta see who. It's been 10 years, so I gotta see who I'm, who I'm comfortable with playing. So it might be Tar
Yeah.
Heels. I might be Oregon. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, well, Josh, we know that's going to be a challenge here because I do the Notre Dame show coming up. The Fighting Irish here, and I'll take Notre Dame with the rookie quarterback Riley Leonard. I'll take him. We'll do something out there. Maybe we can have a little little debate about that. But yeah, I'm
Oh,
curious
we
to
can
see what it
live
looks like.
stream a game. We could do that too.
Oh, we could definitely do that. We could definitely do that. Yeah, yeah.
Hey, look, I'm down. Just
Sounds
look,
good to me. Sounds good to
just
me.
don't
Now,
be mad.
Josh, oh, don't be mad. Okay, well, I can still try to pull. I'm still to pull that that knife out there, the little comment you had there, that little punch. But Josh, I want to ask you something real quick before we get out of here. If you have a minute, I want to ask you one thing about video games. As a man, Josh, is it a violation for a 50 or let's say your age there, my age, of course, probably worse than that, but to play Minecraft?
Play Minecraft. Do you want my honest opinion?
I give it to me. Hey, John, I'm still trying to get it out. Go ahead. You already hurt me once. Go ahead.
I've never played Minecraft, and I'll be honest with you, I know nothing about Minecraft.
Okay. To me,
I have
it's
no idea what it is. I mean, I know it's a game. I know it's a game. Like I do
okay.
know that. But
Okay.
if you told me like describe the game, I'd be like, I don't know. I
To
don't know.
me, Josh, it is a grown adult version of Legos where you can build anything. I'll screenshot a
Oh,
picture of it and I'll send you something. I built the entire city of Philadelphia. The entire city of Philadelphia, the entire city, football stadium, Wells Fargo, Citizens Bank. I even built Temple University. Put it that way.
Minecraft?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Is it
Yeah.
one of those things where you can like create civilization and then you like invade
Well,
people?
no, you can't. I mean, you can play like a what is it? I forgot what. I play creative mode. I don't like the people come over. I'll tell you, Josh. I built my city one time, and we have a video game show before called Joystick Junkies on our network. And I went on there one time, and everybody was like, if we hit 1,000 views on this show here, Paul will open up his world for people to go on there. Josh, it happened. We got like 1,800 views on the show. They went into my world and TNT'd my entire world.
Oh, they bombed it.
Josh, there was nothing left. Citizens Bank was gone. Wells Fargo was gone. It was just like all gone, and it took me like 3 months to build.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
so
did not know that's what Minecraft was. I might
yeah,
try. It ain't my kind of game, but I'll have to look and see how you could do that. That sounds interesting, though.
it's okay. I mean, it's fun, Josh, but it's like I'm me. I'm a Call of Duty guy, Madden guy. I love Mortal Kombat as well. I like those games. Call of Duty is my favorite game, of course, but Minecraft is a game. If you play it, you got to get. You won't get addicted to it, but then again, I said the same thing. You'll look at your phone and say, okay, well, you know what? I'll play for like a half hour. 6 hours later, Josh. Yeah, one of those.
See, I want to be a Call of Duty guy. Like, I genuinely want to love it. I just can't. Like, I think
Really?
what discouraged me. This is what discouraged me. Is like I've played, and it's probably my friend's fault. I played a couple times with my friends, and I've never played it before. So I was playing live, like online or whatever, and I was just getting killed way too often. Like it was just like I'm dead. Okay, let's go ahead back. I'm dead again. I'm like, all right, this isn't fun. Like I was like, these nerds over here in a whole third world country is just out here murking me, and then he suck. Hey, get him, guys. It's an easy kill. Like I don't like it. So I decided that Call of Duty is just not for me. So I just don't play it.
Yeah, I agree, Josh. I just try to piss people off. I'll hide in bushes, wait for a guy to walk by, and I'll shoot him, kneecapped and go out and shank him real quick. But there's nothing better, well, I don't want to say better, nothing worse than getting cursed out by a 5-year-old kid after he teabagged you, Josh. You know what I mean? That's bad.
They be teabagging on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They teabag all the time.
I gotta get that game.
Why are y'all doing that? Like, what is the purpose of it? It's so hilarious. I didn't know they do this in all games. Why?
I don't know. I was telling my fiance, I was like, she was watching me play. She don't play any game. Like she's still Pac-Man type of girl. And I'm sitting there playing, and I was like, this SOB, this teabagging me. She's like, what do you mean? You want a cup of tea? And I'm like, no, watch what he's doing. He's literally on the screen teabagging me up and down. And he looks like, as you're looking at him, he looks right at you, Josh, and teabags you. And then he just sits there doing it. I'm like, oh, how old is this kid? Then he sends you a message after the game. He's like, oh, head, I teabagged you. I'm like, yeah, I get it.
I teabag. That's hilarious.
Exactly. Like, okay, buddy. All right, Josh, you ready to get out of here, man?
Yes, sir.
All right, so next Monday, Inside the Octagon, we'll be talking about some more UFC events. Hopefully, some news out there that we can relate to. But my name is Paul Spencer. That is Josh. Josh, where can they find you, Mr. Showtime?
Follow me at all social medias at Papa Showtime, Josh Showtime, whichever one you find me at, and appreciate it.
Definitely. Make sure you follow Josh yourself on Twitter, all social media outlets, myself on Out of the Box Sports Entertainment, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, we're everywhere. And make sure you make our dreams come true. Like, share, subscribe, get this show out there because I got to get Josh to the Spear and get this bucket list because that's a bucket list for me too. So maybe in the future here, we could possibly, inside the Octagon, we'll be live from the Spear covering a UFC event. So make our dreams a reality. Make it happen. Once again, everybody be safe for the 4th weekend coming up here. Not the weekend, but the whole week. Stay safe, be blessed, and have a great time. We'll see you next week. Later.